Love to see the little picture of that.
This is what's wild in New Hampshire by wildlife biologist Eric Horf. Hey, I'm with John Greenwood, another retiree from Fish and Game, two old geezer biologists here. John, the fisheries, and me, the wildlife and bear biologist. But Phil Whiteman, I worked with Phil. We're going to talk about Phil here a little bit. In memory of Phil Whiteman, for 14 years of dedicated service toward the restoration of anadromous fish to the Merrimack River. Yeah, so we're on the shore of the Merrimack River with John Greenwood. Let's walk down here, John, and start telling me about how did the whole restoration effort for shad and herring begin. And I worked with you. I started out my years with Fish and Game, 3 decades plus, in the fishery side of things. So I was with John. We went down to the Connecticut River. Tell us a little bit about that story, John, and why did you do that, first of all?
Well, there was so few shad in the Merrimack River from netting surveys back in the early 70s that the only way to perpetuate the shad was to get adult shad from the Connecticut River. So that meant driving down there at night, setting gill nets out and harvesting the shad, and then
Let's just walk a little closer to the river.
taking the eggs from the adult fish and getting them fertilized and put into oxygenated bags, and then traveling them back to the Merrimack River to see the river. So it first started with just the young eggs that were fertilized from the Connecticut.
So, but you'd gone down to Lowell and tried to net below the dam there, and you found a few shad, right?
In the early 70s, a former biologist with the state of Massachusetts, Peter Otis, started surveying the river, and so they did some sampling down there with nets and so forth, but they only encountered a handful of shad below the dam at Lawrence.
How about herring? Same thing?
Was
there still more herring?
I assume there would have been more herring, but population probably pretty low because they had no way to get above the dam at Lawrence to get up into fresh water to spawn and procreate.
Right. In the Merrimack, I grew up in Londonderry, and I used to fish Watts Brook down to the Merrimack River, and it was nothing but open sewer. And I actually duck hunted with Bill Ingham in 1970 or 71, the fall of 70, right up here. Bill Ingham, another fisheries biologist, before I was at Fish and Game, we went to UNH together. We duck hunted right here for golden-eyed ducks and mergansers. We'd be here in December, and we'd take his little skiff, an 8-foot skiff, we'd row it up there and put out a few decoys. But when you pulled the decoys in, they had toilet paper on them. That was human waste coming down there in fall of 1970. This whole river was nothing but an open sewer.
Pollution was good for the waterfowl,
Yep.
but not so good for
the
trout and salmon.
So let's get back to how the restoration effort worked. So you went down there in like 75, 76 to get shad eggs down at Holyoke. I went down with John a couple of times.
Yep.
We'd drive down overnight. You'd be down there drifting this Connecticut River in the dark to catch shad and strip the eggs and milt. And John would bring them back, and you told me you would let them go right here.
Yeah, a lot of them were stocked right here. This was one of our favorite spots because it was close to Concord, and coming back from the Connecticut River, it was just an obvious
Long
good
haul.
spot. And the river had cleaned up somewhat.
Yep.
We were hopeful that we could get some of those young fish to grow up here and migrate back down to the river and out to the ocean and come back. So that was kind of the info.
How many years did you move the eggs, do you remember?
I think
least
it
a
was
decade?
about probably 10 years
Yeah, all right.
before reading in some of the early notes from Maryland. They devised a tank truck that would allow live shad to live in to be able to be transported.
So adult shad instead of the eggs and the fertilized eggs.
So at that time, I went to the drawing boards and we went down to North Attleboro, and there was a guy that fabricated big rain barrels out of fiberglass.
Huh.
And so we Went down there, talked to them to design a tank that would fit on a truck that had circulating water that we could put live adult shad in and move the adult shad rather than doing eggs, which allowed, each shad probably had 200,000 eggs in it. So we were really doubling our effort.
Boosting the effort, yeah.
So,
The shad truck, and that came about by donations. The truck itself, I think. You had to raise money for it.
The last one.
Okay.
The first one was a fishing game vehicle.
All right.
was a pretty beat up old truck. We had a single tank on
Okay.
it that would hardly get back up the roads from Keene into the Merrimack Valley. But later we devised a
Twin tank,
dual,
the big tank.
dual service tank on a platform truck, which we got donations from various conservation efforts and so forth to be able to go down and.
Now, how many adults could you move with that truck?
You could put probably 150 in each tank. So
Okay.
maybe 300 maximum.
So we're talking half of those. So 150 females at 200,000 eggs apiece.
Yeah, it's a lot.
A lot of eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compared to a bucket full of eggs.
Right.
That we used to bring back.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's been the effort since I left. Was still continuing to get the adult shad, which now we can get them out of the Merrimack rivers instead of going all the way to the Connecticut, because we have established a run sufficient enough to get adult salmon.
Yeah, several thousand, right? Any numbers? Do you remember?
Stocking wise, yeah, I think probably about 1,000, 2,000 maybe stocked in a year.
How many are coming back now? Any sense?
Last time.
It varies from year to year, but there's a graph of the shad running through the Ambuscade Fishway.
The counts are at
Or one of them. Yeah.
And,
okay.
I'm assuming it's probably in the vicinity of 10,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
I don't know, have the record.
Yeah. It's probably available. Let's put it that way. Check your computer. So how about river herring? When did the restoration effort start with it? Actually, part of that was in my book called What's Wild. My book I published last fall, What's Wild. There was a story about helping Bill Ingham restore river herring when we took them out of the Cocheco River and we put them in Northwood Lake the first year, about 200 or maybe 500 in the 90s, I think, is when I helped Bill put the first effort to restore river herring. But now it's a much bigger operation, right?
Yes, and I'm not privy to some of the early stuff, but I know transporting live herring up into the lakes
has been very successful.
It has been successful because of the spawning activity and so forth. It mimicked a place to raise the fish, and therefore we've got adults herring that are running back from the ocean, from these rivers where they spawn, and then coming back to our natal river, and counts have been upwards of 200,000 to 300,000 coming back to the Lawrence Fishway. Now we still have problems getting all those fish through that fishway and up through Lowell and into Manchester up above. But we're working on the fishway development now.
So, but right now, right here on the Merrimack River at Sewell's Falls, there are river herring streaming down. The adults were stocked in Lake Winnipesaukee last April and May. Winnisquam too, maybe? Yeah, it could have been. And by the millions. So tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions of river herring are now migrating right now down the Merrimack River. Now, I think I see a gull right over there. See that gull right there? That is usually when I come up here and I see gulls in the river, I can tell you that the herring are running. This is where I can drive across Sewell's Falls Bridge and cast my eyes down here. If I see gulls, I know the herring are running. There's not many herring running right now because there's only one gull over there. If there was a pulse of herring come through, there'd be a dozen or more gulls right there.
Yeah, October's the month. October's the month for the juvenile herring to go to the ocean. And when we were,
usually takes a good rainstorm.
When we want to get an eyeful, we'd go down to the Gavins Falls Dam, and you could watch them milling around in front of the dam before they left to go downstream, so we could get a little idea.
Yeah, how many?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know when we stocked them in Northwood Lake, I go to the dam, I could stand in the dam and look out at probably 1 million herring. That would be this huge school before they pulled the boards for the fall drawdown. Then they'd come down by the millions down the Suncook River, Little Suncook into the Suncook. But yeah, that's the. I think that's just one. I think that's a gull over there, right? I think I see one. That white thing's. Maybe it's a rock. But anyways, I don't see much for gull activity, so I'm guessing we're between runs. If we get another rainstorm, we've been in a severe drought, and the fish were late to migrate this fall. Talking to Matt Carpenter, the currently fisheries biologist, and he said there's been some pulses, but we're waiting for the next rainstorm.
And the temperatures to drop below 50. And
Okay.
that's,
Well, water
that's
temperature.
the key.
Yeah. All right, Sewell's Falls. The scene of the restoration effort to restore American shad to the Merrimack River, and ongoing efforts to continue to restore shad and river herring to the Merrimack River watershed. It's been very successful. Decades of efforts to restore, to clean up and to restore the Merrimack River. What a gem we have right here. What a gem. Full of fish, millions of fish right now. What a place to be. And thank you very much, John. The history of American shad and herring restoration on the Merrimack River. We've got the historian right here who started it.
And we can continue. We can continue with Matt Carpenter and the rest, and we'll update you in the future.
Yeah. Well, we're looking for more successes. Sure. All right, John. Thanks you so much. Hey, I've been trying to get John out here for a while, and here we are today. And I appreciate his knowledge and his experience and the history that is in this man's mind. Yeah, he lived it. He lived it. This is Eric Orff, wildlife biologist Eric Orff, for What's Wild in New Hampshire. The Merrimack River is wild today.